A bomb cyclone with the strength of a Category 2 hurricane is barreling toward the East Coast, and it is going to hit in less than 48 hours. Right now, millions of Americans are in the direct path. The pressure is dropping 24 millibars in 24 hours. That is the technical definition of bombogenesis. And what does that mean for you? It means this storm is going to explode in intensity faster than almost any winter storm we have seen in years. But here is what you need to know in the next 30 seconds. If you live anywhere from South Carolina to Maine, your weekend plans are about to change dramatically. We are talking about snowfall totals that some cities have not seen in over a decade. Wind gusts exceeding 100 miles per hour over the ocean. And here is the reward for staying with me. At the 5-minute mark, I am going to give you the exact snowfall forecast for over 70 cities across America, the exact time the storm hits your area, and the exact time it leaves. So where are you watching from right now? Drop your city in the comments and I will tell you exactly what to expect. Let me be very clear about something. This is not hype. This is not exaggeration. The national blend of models is showing us data that is truly remarkable. We have got a 968 millibar low-pressure system forming off the Carolina coast. To put that in perspective, that is equivalent to a Category 2 hurricane. But instead of warm tropical air, this monster is fueled by Arctic cold and ocean moisture, a deadly combination. And here is the first twist. This storm is actually going to create snow in places that almost never see it. I am talking about the possibility of snow in Tampa, Florida. Yes, you heard that right. Tampa. When was the last time Tampa saw snow? We are going back to the 1970s. Some models are even hinting at snowflakes in the Bahamas. The last time that happened was in 1977. But let me walk you through this step by step, because understanding the timeline is going to be critical for your safety and preparation. Friday morning at 10 a.m., we are going to see the first signs. A thin band of snow will develop across the Appalachian Mountains. This is just the appetizer. By Friday afternoon, that band intensifies over northwest North Carolina, northwest South Carolina, and eastern Tennessee. If you live in Asheville, this is when you need to start paying attention. Then Saturday morning at 10 a.m., everything changes. The storm goes from a regional weather event to a full-blown historic winter storm. Heavy snow will be falling across northeast Georgia. The higher elevations of North Carolina will be getting pounded. And the Piedmont region, including Charlotte and the surrounding areas, will see moderate to heavy snow starting to accumulate. Now here is something critical. By Saturday at 7 p.m., South Carolina is going to experience something remarkable. Multiple cities across the entire state could see more snow than they have seen in a very long time. Columbia, you are in the bullseye zone. We are forecasting 4 inches of snow for your area. Greenville, South Carolina, you are looking at potentially 10 inches. And this is not going to be that wet, heavy snow. This is going to be the powdery, blowing snow that creates whiteout conditions. But Saturday night is when this storm truly shows its power. As we move into Saturday evening around 7 p.m., the coastal areas are going to experience something extraordinary. The Outer Banks of North Carolina, you need to prepare for blizzard conditions. Not just heavy snow, not just strong winds, but a legitimate blizzard with winds gusting between 80 to 100 miles per hour over the water. On land, you are still looking at 30 to 50 mile per hour winds combined with heavy snowfall. That combination creates zero visibility. Let me give you the specific timing for the Outer Banks. Blizzard conditions begin Saturday evening around 7 p.m. They intensify through the night. And by Sunday morning at 7 a.m., you are going to be in the absolute peak of this storm. 13 inches of snow is forecasted for Kill Devil Hills. That is over a foot of snow combined with hurricane-force winds. Now let me jump up the coast because a lot of you are wondering about Virginia. Richmond, Virginia, here is your timeline. Snow begins Saturday afternoon around 2 p.m. Light at first, but steadily increasing. By Saturday evening at 7 p.m., you are in moderate to heavy snow. The peak of the storm for Richmond hits around midnight Saturday into early Sunday morning. We are forecasting 6 inches of total accumulation for Richmond. Wind gusts in your area will be 30 to 40 miles per hour. Not as extreme as the coast, but still strong enough to cause power outages and tree damage. Virginia Beach, you are in a different situation. You are closer to the coastal intensification zone. Your snow begins Saturday afternoon around 3 p.m. By Saturday night at 8 p.m., you are in heavy snow with strong winds. The peak for Virginia Beach is Sunday morning between 3 a.m. and 8 a.m. Total accumulation, 11 inches. Wind gusts could reach 50 miles per hour in your area. This is going to create significant coastal flooding in addition to the snow. Now let me talk about the I-95 corridor because millions of people are watching from this region. Washington, D.C., your snow begins Sunday morning around 6 a.m. This is later than areas to the south. Light snow at first, possibly mixed with some flurries Saturday night, but the measurable snow starts Sunday morning. The peak for D.C. is Sunday mid-morning between 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. Total expected accumulation is 1 to 3 inches. Not a crippling snowfall for D.C., but combined with wind gusts of 25 to 35 miles per hour, travel is going to be difficult. Baltimore, you are looking at a very similar timeline to Washington, D.C. Snow begins Sunday morning around 6 a.m. Peak intensity between 9 a.m. and noon on Sunday. Total accumulation, 1 to 3 inches with wind gusts up to 35 miles per hour. But here is an important point I need to make. The areas along I-81 are going to see less snow. Lexington, Virginia, up through Hagerstown, Maryland, you are on the western edge of this system. You are looking at 1 to 3 inches maximum. The storm track is keeping the heaviest snow to the east of you. Now let me move up to the mid-Atlantic because this is where things get very interesting. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, your snow begins Sunday morning around 7 a.m. The storm is moving northeast by this point, so you are getting it later than areas to the south. Peak snowfall for Philadelphia is Sunday between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. Total accumulation, 2 to 4 inches. Wind gusts around 30 miles per hour. Not catastrophic, but definitely impactful for travel. But if you live in southeast New Jersey, especially around Atlantic City, you need to pay close attention. You are in a jackpot zone. Snow begins Sunday morning around 6 a.m. The peak hits between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Sunday. And here is the shocking number. Atlantic City could see up to 8 inches of snow. Why so much more than Philadelphia, which is nearby? Because of the coastal dynamics of this storm. The moisture feed is going to be strongest right along that immediate coastline. New York City, here is your timeline. Snow begins Sunday morning between 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. Light at first, the peak for New York City is Sunday late morning through early afternoon, roughly 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Total accumulation for the city, 4 inches. That is enough to cause significant disruption to travel, but this is not going to be a paralyzing snowstorm for Manhattan. However, wind gusts could reach 35 to 40 miles per hour, especially near the waterfront areas. Long Island, you are going to see a bit more because you are extending out into the Atlantic. Snow begins Sunday morning around 7 a.m. Peak intensity Sunday between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. Total accumulation for Long Island, 5 to 7 inches, with the highest amounts on the eastern end of the island. Now let me talk about New England because this is where this storm is going to create some truly historic conditions. Providence, Rhode Island, snow begins Sunday morning around 8 a.m. The peak hits Sunday between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Total accumulation, 7 inches. Wind gusts up to 45 miles per hour. This is going to be a significant snowstorm for Providence. But the real story is Cape Cod. If you live on Cape Cod, you need to prepare for something exceptional. Snow begins Sunday morning around 8 a.m., but unlike other areas where the storm moves through relatively quickly, Cape Cod is going to be in the heavy snow and high wind zone for an extended period. The peak of the storm for Cape Cod is Sunday between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. That is 8 hours of intense snowfall and wind. Total accumulation, 15 inches minimum. Some areas could see 18 to 20 inches. And the winds, hurricane force. Gusts between 60 and 70 miles per hour. This is going to be a legitimate blizzard with zero visibility, massive snowdrifts, and extremely dangerous conditions. Boston, Massachusetts. Here is your situation. You are right on the cutoff line. Snow begins Sunday morning around 9 a.m. Peak intensity Sunday between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. Here is the tricky part. Boston could see anywhere from 3 inches to 7 inches depending on the exact track of the storm. If the storm shifts just 20 miles to the west, Boston gets hammered with 7 inches plus. If it stays on the current track, you are looking at 3 to 4 inches. Wind gusts in Boston will be 40 to 50 miles per hour regardless of snowfall amounts. Southeastern Massachusetts, especially New Bedford and Fall River, you are in a similar situation to Cape Cod but slightly less intense. Snow begins Sunday morning around 8:30 a.m. peak Sunday between 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. Total accumulation 10 to 14 inches with wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. Now let me jump up to Maine because a lot of people think they are going to miss this storm. You are not. Portland, Maine, snow begins Sunday around 10 a.m. Peak intensity Sunday afternoon between noon and 4 p.m. Total accumulation 4 to 6 inches with wind gusts around 40 miles per hour. But down East Maine, you are going to get hit harder. Towns like Bar Harbor, Bangor, and Eastport, snow begins Sunday around 10 a.m. Peak intensity Sunday afternoon through Sunday evening. Total accumulation, widespread 3 to 6 inches across the region. The eastern portions of Maine could see 6 to 8 inches. And the winds are going to be strong, gusting up to 50 miles per hour. And if you are watching from Canada, specifically Nova Scotia and Halifax, you are going to get absolutely buried. Snow begins Sunday afternoon around noon. The peak hits Sunday evening into Monday morning. Total accumulation for Halifax over 12 inches. Wind gusts exceeding 70 miles per hour. This is going to be a dangerous, crippling blizzard for Nova Scotia. Now, I promised you over 70 cities, so let me rapid fire through more locations with specific forecasts. Rock Hill, South Carolina, 5 inches, peak Saturday evening. Bennettsville, South Carolina, 6 inches, peak Saturday night. Charlotte, North Carolina, 6 inches, peak Saturday evening into Sunday morning. Winston-Salem, North Carolina, 5 inches, peak Saturday evening. Raleigh, North Carolina. Now here is where I need to explain something important. The models are showing 8 inches for Raleigh, but there is a wild card. 2 low-pressure systems are going to be working together, and there is a possibility of a dry slot forming. A dry slot is basically an area where the moisture gets cut off temporarily. If that happens, Raleigh could see closer to 4 to 6 inches instead of 8. But if the dry slot does not form, 8 inches is very possible. Peak timing for Raleigh, Saturday evening through Sunday morning. Fayetteville, North Carolina, 7 inches, peak Sunday morning. Goldsboro, North Carolina, 8 inches, peak Sunday morning. Greenville, North Carolina, 10 inches, peak Sunday morning. New Bern, North Carolina, 9 inches, peak Sunday morning. Jacksonville, North Carolina, 11 inches, peak Sunday morning. Elizabeth City, North Carolina, 12 inches, peak Sunday morning into Sunday afternoon. Wilmington, North Carolina, 6 inches, peak Saturday evening. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, 5 inches, peak Saturday evening. Now let me shift to Delaware because many of you are in the Delmarva Peninsula. Dover, Delaware, 4 inches, peak Sunday morning. Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, 6 inches, peak Sunday morning. Salisbury, Maryland, 7 inches, peak Sunday morning. Ocean City, Maryland, 8 inches, peak Sunday morning. Let me talk about some cities in the interior that are going to see less snow but still need to prepare. Hagerstown, Maryland, 2 inches, peak Sunday morning. Frederick, Maryland, 2 inches, peak Sunday morning. Winchester, Virginia, 2 inches, peak Sunday morning. Charlottesville, Virginia, 3 inches, peak Saturday evening. Lynchburg, Virginia, 4 inches, peak Saturday evening. Now let me go down to North Carolina mountain areas because elevation is going to play a huge role. Asheville, North Carolina, 6 inches, peak Saturday afternoon into evening. Boone, North Carolina, 8 inches, peak Saturday afternoon into evening. Blowing Rock, North Carolina, 9 inches, peak Saturday. Let me talk about South Carolina cities we have not covered yet. Charleston, South Carolina, 2 inches, peak Saturday evening. Now, Charleston is on the southern edge, so you are going to see less accumulation, but the timing is important. Your snow will be brief but impactful. Spartanburg, South Carolina, 7 inches, peak Saturday evening. Rock Hill, South Carolina, 6 inches, peak Saturday evening. Now let me jump to Pennsylvania cities beyond Philadelphia. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, 2 inches, peak Sunday morning. Scranton, Pennsylvania, 3 inches, peak Sunday morning. Allentown, Pennsylvania, 3 inches, peak Sunday morning. Reading, Pennsylvania, 3 inches, peak Sunday morning. Connecticut cities, here are your forecasts. Hartford, Connecticut, 5 inches, peak Sunday late morning. New Haven, Connecticut, 6 inches, peak Sunday midday. Bridgeport, Connecticut, 6 inches, peak Sunday midday. Stamford, Connecticut, 5 inches, peak Sunday late morning. Now let me talk about Vermont, New Hampshire, and upstate New York, because the cold behind this storm is going to be brutal. Burlington, Vermont. 2 inches, peak Sunday afternoon. But the bigger story for you is the cold. After the storm passes, temperatures are going to plummet. Manchester, New Hampshire, 4 inches, peak Sunday afternoon. Concord, New Hampshire, 4 inches, peak Sunday afternoon. Albany, New York, 3 inches, peak Sunday morning. Syracuse, New York, 2 inches, peak Sunday morning. Buffalo, New York, 1 inch, peak Sunday. You are on the far western edge. Now here is something I have not told you yet, and this is going to sound absolutely wild. But we need to talk about Florida. The cold air behind this storm is so intense that we are going to see something called Gulf effect snow. Just like lake effect snow happens over the Great Lakes, the temperature difference between the cold air and the relatively warm Gulf of Mexico is going to create snow showers. Tampa, Florida. Snow flurries are possible Sunday evening into Monday morning. Actual accumulation? Probably just a coating, maybe a dusting. But the fact that we are even talking about snow in Tampa is remarkable. The last time Tampa saw snow was January 1977. That was 49 years ago. Orlando, Florida. Snow flurries possible Sunday evening. No accumulation expected, but you might see some flakes falling from the sky. Jacksonville, Florida. Snow flurries possible Sunday. Again, no accumulation, but visually you might see snow. Daytona Beach, Florida. Same situation. Possible flurries, no accumulation. And the temperatures across Florida are going to be dangerous. Let me give you the specific numbers for Sunday morning. Tallahassee, Florida, 23 degrees. Wind chill will make it feel like 13 degrees. Gainesville, Florida, 25 degrees. Wind chill around 15. Tampa, Florida, 35 degrees. That is the actual temperature. Wind chill will be around 25. Orlando, Florida, 36 degrees. Wind chill around 26. This is a hard freeze situation. The National Weather Service in Tampa is calling this extremely hazardous for marine interests and dangerous for vulnerable populations. If you have elderly neighbors or family members, check on them. If you have plants or pipes that could freeze, protect them now. Now let me go to the rest of the South and Midwest because many of you are wondering about the cold temperatures. Dallas, Texas, low of 23 degrees Sunday morning. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, low of 20 degrees Sunday morning. Little Rock, Arkansas, low of 18 degrees Sunday morning. Memphis, Tennessee, low of 15 degrees Sunday morning. Nashville, Tennessee, low of 12 degrees Sunday morning. Oxford, Mississippi, low of 12 degrees Sunday morning. Atlanta, Georgia, low of 20 degrees Sunday morning. Birmingham, Alabama, low of 18 degrees Sunday morning. And the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley are going to see brutal cold. Indianapolis, Indiana, low of 2 degrees Sunday morning. Yes, 2 degrees. Columbus, Ohio, low of 4 degrees Sunday morning. Cincinnati, Ohio, low of 6 degrees Sunday morning. Cleveland, Ohio, low of 0 degrees Sunday morning. Detroit, Michigan, low of -2 degrees Sunday morning. Chicago, Illinois, low of 5 degrees Sunday morning. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, low of -1 degree Sunday morning. And the Northeast is going to see dangerous wind chills. Rochester, New York, actual temperature near 0, wind chill -15. Burlington, Vermont, actual temperature -5, wind chill -25. Portland, Maine, actual temperature 8 degrees, wind chill -5. Now here is the question everyone is asking. When does this end? When do we get relief? For the snow itself, the storm moves quickly. By Monday afternoon, the snow is over for everyone except far eastern Maine and Nova Scotia. But the cold, that is a different story. The East Coast is going to remain in a deep freeze for the foreseeable future. We are not seeing any significant warm-up in the next 10 days for coastal areas. The interior South and the Mississippi River Valley will see temperatures moderate back to normal by the middle of next week. But from the Carolinas up through New England, below average temperatures are going to continue. Now let me address something important. The previous storm that hit last week has resulted in over 100 deaths. That makes it the deadliest winter storm since the Texas power crisis. There are still people without power in some areas. The National Weather Service is urging everyone to take this storm seriously. Check on your neighbors. Make sure you have food, water, flashlights, and batteries. Charge your phones and devices. Fill up your gas tank. If you live in the impact zone from Columbia, South Carolina up to Cape Cod, do not travel Saturday night through Sunday. The roads are going to be extremely dangerous. Even if your area is only getting 3 inches of snow, the combination of wind and snow creates whiteout conditions. Here is what you need to do right now. Drop your city in the comments. I will give you additional details if you need them. Share this video with your family and friends who need to know this information. And here is something I am going to reveal in my next video that you are not going to believe. The long-range models are showing another potential storm system for the East Coast in early February. I am going to break down that forecast tomorrow, so make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications because you are not going to want to miss that. The next 48 hours are critical. This storm is coming. It is going to impact millions of people, but with the right preparation, you can stay safe. Leave your city below, stay warm, stay safe, and I will see